Hey folks, it's Blue here with a new video. It's been a while, sorry about that, lots has been going on, and also I got sick. I'm actually just coming off it now, so I'm sorry if I don't sound quite right. But to the topic of the video, without dragging things on, the question here is, how much more are you really paying for Alienware? Is it really that much more for it? Or are you just better off with it because you get pre-built and shipped to you? Or should you build it yourself and spend less theoretically? This is me doing direct comparisons between a build that I do that is approximately the same price as an Alienware and an Alienware. In this case, I'll be looking at the X51 and Area 51s, which are both of the main tiers of desktops, and I'll be keeping the price as close as possible, which I've already mentioned. Note that I'll be doing my best to go only on facts and not on my personal bias. I will be stating it often, though, personally. I admit my bias is more toward the don't bother with Alienware end, but I'm trying to go as much on fact for what I list. And there's no unique name for each tier of the X51 or Area 51, so I'll be naming them A, B, C, D, E, F, going on, in order of price. So, like, the Area 51s went from A to D, and the X51s are the same, because that's the order of price in the different sizes that they have. Now, going first to entry-level PCs. Gaming PCs, obviously. And I count that as under $1,000. For Alienware, you've got two, the X51A and B. The X51A is almost completely worthless in my personal opinion. It has an i3 6100, a GTX 745, a 8 gigabytes of RAM, a terabyte hard drive, a disk drive, wireless. And the X51B has an i5 6400, GTX 745, 16 gig of RAM, a 2 terabyte hard drive, disk drive, wireless. And they all have a 1-year warranty. Now, my Homebuilt version, I have A and B. You have the A, which is a Pentium G3258, a GTX 950, which mops the floor with that 745 over here, a 16 gig RAM kit, and a terabyte hard drive. This is a hair more expensive on this one than the X51 equivalent. This is really the only level, if you want a PC of that level, where the X51 is a hair better. Possibly. The GTX 950 wipes the floor with the other one, but I'm not sure about the differences between the i3 and the Pentium. Then you've got B, which mops the floor 100% with the equivalent X51B. It costs $907, which is a hair more, but it's like this is gonna sound like the old HSN type announcers, but it's about the cost of a ham sandwich for a much better thing. It's the i5 4690K, which was the tip-top of the line i5 that is all over the place as recommended for gaming until the new 6600K, I think it is the new i5. Then there's the GTX 950, which again mops the floor with the 745, 16 gig of RAM, a 2 terabyte hard drive, and a disk drive and wireless. They all have disk drive and wireless, by the way, no matter what I'm looking at. Then, now, the pros and cons between the two. Alienware's favor, it's a smaller and lighter computer when you get it. Nothing really you can build at home can compare to the size of things like the Alienware's X51s. They're just really so small it's impossible to match. Though I put mine in a mini ITX, so it's still pretty darn small. Just not actually no, I put it in micro ATX, but it's still just not that small. In the favor of Homebuilt, you have stronger, faster, and no bloatware. So what is on that PC is what you put on it, and not what anyone else puts on it for you before it gets to you. Then, the cons. To Alienware's detriment, you have slower, weaker, and bloatware. And to Homebuilt's detriment, it is larger and heavier. Which is basically the exact opposite of the pros. The Homebuilt has stronger, faster, and no bloatware. The Alienware has slower, weaker, and bloatware. So, that one's fairly obvious conclusion. Foolish to get an Alienware at this cost level unless you're against building it yourself or desperately need a smaller computer. So, like if you're in a really tiny studio type apartment, maybe you're better off spending the extra on the Area 51 just because, not Area 51, sorry, the X51, because it's smaller. That's the only sane reason you would get that. Now, mid-range, which is, I'm counting as 1,000 to 2,000. Note that I did skip over an X51 level here, because there was really no reason to include it. So we have the X51C, which is $1,649.99. Has an i7-6700K, a GTX 960, 16 gig of RAM, a 256 gig SSD, and a 2 terabyte hard drive, no disk drive at all, and wireless. Then you have the Area 51A. Now this one, I kind of blew my top over when I first saw it. It's an i7 5820K, a Radeon R9 370. An R9 370. The 960 mops the floor with that card. Why would they have that in an Area 51 that they always they tout as one of the best things for gaming? I know that's the lowest level Area 51, but still, why not have it have a 960? It's just a ridiculous thing to have in something that expensive. Knock the i7 down and bump up the graphics card, for crying out loud. That's a ridiculous thing to have, and it's actually the only case of a Radeon card I've seen in Alienware at all. I don't understand why it's there. 8 gig of RAM, again, that's just downgrading for no good reason. A 2 terabyte HDD with no SSD at all, again, downgrading for no clear reason on their high-end PC. It just doesn't make sense. Then, for my mid-range, the Homebuilt, you have option C, which is 1,613, which is cheaper, might I add. Oh, forgot the comma there. Oh well. It has a 6700K, a GTX 970, which is gonna beat that 960, 16 gig of RAM, a 3 terabyte hard drive, a disk drive, which the other one didn't have, and wireless. So obviously that's better than the previous one. Then you have the D, which is the equivalent to that Area 51 that I don't understand why anyone would ever even consider buying, because it's pathetic, which has a 5820K, a 970, 16 gig of RAM, a 3 terabyte hard drive, a disk drive, and wireless. Now, I pretty much copy and pasted the pros from the low-end build thing there, because it pretty much applies again, except I added cheaper here, because the other ones were more expensive, but better. These are cheaper and better. And completely copy and pasted this again as well, for the cons. And literally copy and pasted the conclusion, because it's the exact same conclusion. Don't buy it. That's the conclusion. Now another little disclaimer, because I skipped past one of the Area 51s. Now, the high end, which is 2,000 and up to who knows where, builds. The Area 51B first is $2,799.99. Comes with an i7 5930K, 2 GTX 970s, a 16 gig of RAM, and a 256 gig solid state, and a 4 terabyte hard drive. Though, honestly, they would have been better off sticking with that 3 terabyte, because the 3 terabyte was a 7200 RPM. That 4 terabyte is a much slower 5200 or something like that. RPM, which makes it far, far worse for gaming. And that SSD is not going to help you for long with games. Then, you have the Area 51C. This is the whole hog. You have really too much money to spend on your computer level at $4,099.99. Has an i7 5930K, 3 GTX 980s, 16 gig of RAM, a 256 gig solid state, and a 4 terabyte hard drive. I think 16 gig of RAM is ridiculous for something that expensive. The SSD is too small for something that expensive, and the hard drive is too slow for something that expensive. They're charging so much, and you're not getting enough, in my personal opinion. 3 980s is lovely in about 5 games, because one 980 is what you'll be using most of the time, because lots of games don't support SLI. I cannot figure out why you have 3 of those instead of one like Titan X or something, because I'm pretty sure that was out at the time this thing was set up. So now, to the Homebuilt high-end level. We have E and F. We have E at $2,776.19, which is cheaper, first off. Then, it has a 5930K, a GTX 980 Ti, which is much better than the two 970s that are there in the other one, for a simple reason. Even if, in a SLI-supported game, you're getting lower FPS, one 980 Ti will trounce a 970 in every single case when it is on its own. The SLI does not help in a large number of games, and that's why I have one 980 Ti instead of two 970s or something like that. 32 gig of RAM, a 512 gigabyte SSD, a 3 terabyte hard drive, which is 7200 RPM, might I add, instead of the 5400, a disk drive and wireless. Then, you have the whole hog really cool build at $4,013.10, which is, again, cheaper than the Area 51. It has an i7 5960X. That is the top-of-the-line processor at the moment. I'm sure there will be a Skylake tip top of the line soon, but at the moment, that is the best processor you can get. Just the processor and the motherboard alone, it costs more than the cheaper build, the low entry-level builds. Then you've got two 980 Ti's, which will give you a huge amount of bonus in SLI-supported games, and it'll still be really good in games that don't have SLI, for the simple reason that it's a 980 Ti instead of a 980. If it was, say, 2 or 3 980s, you would not get as good performance in non-SLI games. And as I've learned personally from my gaming laptop that has 2 weaker cards in SLI, SLI doesn't help you very much, very often. So you're far better off with it, with fewer stronger cards than lots of weaker ones. 32 gig of RAM again, a 512 gig SSD, a 3 terabyte hard drive, a disk drive and wireless, which is pretty much implied at this point. Now, pros and cons. Really nothing at all at this level in Alienware's favor. Homebuilt is faster, stronger, cheaper, no bloatware. And for the cons, no cons to Homebuilt, slower, weaker bloatware, and more expensive to Alienware's detriment. Then, the conclusion. I'm sure you saw this one coming, but it's foolish to buy the Alienware when you can build better yourself for cheaper. And you still have a warranty on your individual components that's probably about a year long, so you don't even really need to worry about the warranty factor. Then, the real final conclusion. No reason to purchase an Alienware desktop PC because you can get better for the same cost or lower at all price points. And you're paying really a lot for that logo, which answers the question back at the top, which was, how much do you pay for that logo? You pay a lot for that logo in performance and actual cost. So, that's really all I can say about this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. And if you want to see the home builds that I used as my examples, the full thing, because these were full PCs I put together, a PC part picker, I'll have links to each of them in the description, marked in the same way they are in the main video, which is A, B, C, D, E, and F in this case. Please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos by me. Thank you folks for watching, and this is Blue, signing off. Bye-bye, folks!